This is Valmiki Ramayan, Season 7, Episode 17, Ram and Ravan. Ravan's men put together all the chariots, horses, elephants and weapons they still had and went house to house, gruhe gruhe, to round up everyone who could fight. Despite their losses so far, the Rakshasas managed to assemble a formidable force. And leading the army was Ravan himself. He was in his magnificent chariot that was pulled by 8 horses, equipped with all types of weapons and decorated with gold and gems. Ravan's army came out of the city and charged at the enemy. The Rakshas king lobbed the deadly Tamas Astra onto the Vanaras, killing them by the hundreds. And he headed towards Ram. As soon as Ram was within his firing range, Ravan fired a volley of arrows at him. But Ram was ready for this. Ubhau yuddha visharadau astra vidam mukhyau. Both were great warriors and experts in the use of astras. One after another, they fired off deadly astras at each other. They neutralized most of their opponents' attacks, but some arrows still found their mark. Both warriors were soon bleeding from their many wounds. Vibhishan then suddenly attacked Ravan's horses with his mace and killed them. Ravan was furious at his brother. He got down from his tall chariot with a giant javelin in hand. But as he prepared to throw the weapon at Vibhishan, Lakshman came to Vibhishan's rescue. He pulled Vibhishan back and attacked Ravan. Ravan threw the weapon with all his might. And before Lakshman could react, the javelin had struck him on the chest. Lakshman collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. Ram looked at his fallen brother in horror. He wanted to help him, but Ravan's arrows continued to rain down on them. And so, Ram launched a blistering counterattack on Ravan. The Rakshas king, having already lost his chariot, thought it best to retreat to Lanka. Ram dropped his bow and carefully pulled out the javelin from Lakshman's body. By then, Sugriv, Hanuman and Sushen had also reached the scene. Lakshman was now lying motionless. Ram feared the worst. He cried, "Lakshman, don't leave me, my brother. Open your eyes, please." Sushen assured Ram that although Lakshman was unconscious, his breathing and heart rate were stable. Sochwasam hridayam kampamanam muhurmuhu. But they had to quickly get the same 4 medicinal herbs they had used earlier. Turning to Hanuman, Sushen said, "Jambavan had told you about that place where you can find the 4 herbs, Sanjeevani, Vishalyakarani, Suvarnakarani and Sandhani. Please go and get them quickly." Remember how Hanuman got these herbs in episode 13 after Indrajit had used his Brahmastra. Now once again, Valmiki says, Hanuman got the entire mountain of herbs just to make sure that he did not miss anything. Sushen administered the herbs, and soon Lakshman regained consciousness. Ram embraced Lakshman and said, "I was so worried. You have come back from the gates of death. How could I have lived without you?" Lakshman was still weak and his voice was feeble. But he reminded Ram, "You must not lose heart even if something happens to me. Now go out there and fight Ravan." Just then, they had an unexpected visitor. We saw earlier also that people not directly connected to either warring side were doing all they could for Ram's victory. On the first night, an unknown Garud had brought medicinal herbs. Now, a man drove up to them in a chariot and offered help. Valmiki poetically says that Indra noticed that Ram was on the ground while Ravan was fighting from his chariot. This was not fair. Nasamam yuddham. And so, Indra sent his chariot and charioteer to help Ram. Soon afterwards, Ravan came back to the battlefield and launched another vicious attack on Ram. Ram responded equally strongly. They fired arrows at each other relentlessly. Soon they were both drenched in blood. Ram then shouted out to Ravan, "You vile Rakshas! You abducted Sita when she was all alone. You think you're brave. You are a shameless coward, and I am going to kill you now." At that moment, Ravan's charioteer suddenly steered the chariot away from the battlefield. A surprised Ravan lashed out at him. "You fool! Why did you turn back without asking me?" The charioteer replied calmly, "My lord, you are tired, and so are the horses. I think we must take some rest." As Ram waited for Ravan to come back, he thought of Agastya Muni. The great Muni had taught him the Aditya Hridaya Stotra, a prayer that helped harness one's strength for battle. Ram stood facing the sun, recited the prayer, and did Achaman, the ceremonial sipping of water, 3 times. He felt energized and confident as he picked up his bow once again. Soon, Ravan returned to the battle scene for the 3rd time. Once more, a ferocious battle ensued between these two great warriors. This was chariot warfare at its best. Sumahat Dvairatham Yuddham. At times, Ram and Ravan charged towards each other. At other times, they tactically retreated, only to attack from a different angle. And they attacked each other relentlessly. It seemed like the sky was entirely covered by arrows flying across. No one had seen a battle like this ever before. Rakshasam Ravanam Chapi, Vanaranam Charaghavam, Pashyatam Vismitakshanam, Sainyam Chitramiva Babhau. The Rakshas soldiers just stared at Ravan, the Vanaras at Ram. They stood frozen, like characters in a painting. The battle raged on and on. Ram wondered why the weapons that had worked so well against Khar, Dooshan and Kabandh were unable to finish off Ravan. Valmiki says poetically that when Ram cut off Ravan's head with a sharp arrow, a new head appeared in its place, and this happened 100 times. Ram realized that he had to try something different. And then he picked up a special weapon that Agastya Muni had given him. This arrow, made by Lord Brahma himself, was more like a missile launched from a bow. Valmiki has described it as follows. It was huge in size and weight, but also hollow in the middle. Shariram Akashamayam. A fire burned inside, and it emitted smoke as it went hissing through the air. It landed on its target like a thunderbolt. It could blast right through doors and walls, man and beast. Ram loaded the great weapon on his bow as per the proper Vedic procedures. He pulled the bowstring all the way back and fired it off at Ravan. The arrow hit Ravan on the chest and went right through him. Tasya hastadhatasyashu karmukam tatsasayakam nipapata saha pranaihi bhrashyamanasya jivitat. Even as Ravan's bow and arrow slipped from his hand, his life breath also slipped out of him. The king of Rakshasas was dead even before he hit the ground. Iti, her, us. That is how it happened.